Hi, I'm Brad Smart, the creator of Top Grading, and I'm pleased to provide this tutorial about what we call the two-step career history form process. I think we have over 1,000 admins, so I'll try to go slowly, and what I'm doing is narrating, and what Katie Steigerwald is doing is several things. She's controlling what you see on the screen, and in addition to that, when we need someone as administrator, you'll see her name as administrator. And then when we need someone to take the role of the candidate, guess what? She's going to be the candidate. Okay. So I think that will be clear. We've been working on two-step for a couple of years and really believe this is a game changer. It's a revolutionary candidate screening tool. So I'll begin with an explanation of what it is and what it does. In a sense, it's super simple. It's just asking candidates at the resume stage to provide a little information about a couple of jobs. So what's the big deal? Well, talk to programmers about it, and it's a really big deal. So in a couple more sentences, the two-step career history form process adds step one, obviously, what we call the mini snapshot, because it produces a mini snapshot. But it takes so little time for candidates to fill it out that they will do it even before talking with someone in the company. That's what we're convinced of. That's what clients have been asking for several years. Step one simply asks your knockout questions. Try to keep those to a minimum, by the way. You add more questions, it takes more time for candidates to fill it out. And if you haven't even talked to them, then a lot might become impatient and just drop off. Okay, so step one simply asks your knockout questions, few as they may be, and request contact information and information about the most recent two jobs. That's all. And because that's all, it only takes a few minutes to complete, and we're convinced that candidates will do this. So a little bit more background. As you know, it's super easy for candidates to apply for jobs these days. Most companies, they just send the resume or LinkedIn profile, and companies typically do not ask candidates to complete a full typical old style application form or our career history form until after the phone screen interview. Why? Because if someone has, I don't know, 10 jobs, 12 jobs, it might take an hour and 15 minutes for them to fill it out. And if they haven't even talked to someone in the company, a lot of candidates will say, to heck with this, I'm not going to do it. Unless you're about one of the 20% of companies that get all the resumes you want. You have all the applicants you want. Some well-known companies, I guess one I worked for over the years, Goldman Sachs will get, they have 1,000 new applicants every day, I think. And so there are a lot of companies like that who like to have that hurdle set up. And their attitude is, hey, if candidates are not willing to take whatever amount of time it takes, 20 minutes, an hour and a half to complete the career history form, they must not be really interested in the job. So we're not really interested in them. Okay. So a little more background. I have published 5 books on interviewing. First one was in 1986. And all these books, I recommend to clients, do not ask candidates to take whatever time, an hour or more, to complete the full career history form until after the phone screen interview. Okay, or else too many candidates might drop out. But at the end of the phone screen, as our clients have generally been doing, after the phone screen, if you want to move ahead with a candidate and the candidate wants to move ahead, then sure, fill out the career history form, the full career history form, because after you do that, we'll decide whether we want to invite you in for a day of interviews. That's the whole point, that for 80% or so of companies, you really, really need to talk with people before you impose on them to take a long time to fill out a full career history form. Okay, so right. Unfortunately for those 80%, over the years, Those companies have undergone the frustration and the time it takes to take all those resumes and sort through them, and figure out which candidates to call, for a telephone screen. This is problematic. If some of you have read some of my blogs, you'll see research indicates that somewhere between 35 and 40% of resumes contain falsehoods. And that means just about any C player can easily write an A player resume. I have several dozen books behind me in my credenza. I'm preparing for the next book, and I just bought the top 20 books on Amazon about how to get a job. And all these books say explicitly or implicitly, lie in your resume. And you can lie in interviews, and you can get away with that because reference checks are typically not done, or they're almost certainly not done with the people companies really want to talk to, the managers you reported to. Ha, ha, ha. It's not much of a commentary on human nature, but that's the world we live in. So what two-step does is dramatically cut the amount of time necessary to screen resumes, but I'll be getting into that in some detail now. Okay, so as I said, the mini snapshot is a simple new product, a much abbreviated career history form. So abbreviated, it can be used at the resume stage before you've actually talked to candidates. We've taken literally 2 years to actually work the bugs out of this product, and we've been testing it for 4 months. We keep finding something to change. We're about to release it now, so when you're actually in this tutorial, it has been released. And if you find anything that needs a change, please let us know. Please let us know, okay? So let me just list the many advantages there are to two-step. Number one, that from a candidate point of view, it takes so little time to provide information about 2 jobs and the contact information. Very few candidates are expected to drop out. The most popular screening tool at the resume stage, that is before talking with candidates, is personality tests. This is a $3 or $4 billion industry, and it's very popular. Companies want a screening tool before they talk with people. Personality tests look good. You can take them yourself, 4 to 7 minutes typically. You look at the profile, you say, yeah, that looks like me. You show it to someone who knows you well. They say, yeah, that looks like you. Trouble is, I've properly validated a bunch of personality tests, and I'm convinced that every one of those is a scam or a sham. They don't work. In fact, they're actively harmful to companies when there's a cutoff score. If there's no cutoff score, or if they're used maybe after a person has been hired for onboarding, or well after a person has been hired for team building, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No problem there. And abilities tests are good. But personality tests, when there's a cutoff score, so if candidates score below that cutoff score, our research again and again and again has shown, oops, if you've been using this test for the past 6 months, you would have eliminated as many A players as C players. So now we have a new screening tool, and wow, what a screening tool it is. Number 2 advantage, the torque technique is in the instructions. You know what the torque technique is, telling candidates a final step in hiring is for them, candidates, to arrange reference calls with their managers and others. Wow, that is powerful. As you know, about 25, maybe 30% of your candidates drop out because they are the low performers with the hyped resumes. They know they won't get bosses to talk with you, and they wouldn't want them to talk with you anyway for fear that the bosses would disclose the candidate's shortcomings. Good, this saves time, and time is money. So the roughly 75% of the candidates are the more honest than those who dropped off, and definitely higher performers than those who have dropped off. Okay. Advantage number 3, the mini snapshot is very useful, we think, because as the CEO of Culligan, Scott Clausen, said, the mini snapshot is amazing. Even before talking with candidates, recent boss ratings, true reasons for leaving jobs, and their salary. Yeah, that's huge. Well, you all know that anyway. The advantage number 4 is just, I guess, a reminder that you can still use career history form and snapshot if you do not want to request salary information or salary expectations. You have those choices. We're going to show you where you make those choices now, and you'll continue to make those choices. Advantage number 5. This step 1, the mini snapshot will produce the phone screen interview guide. Well, so what? Tolles now provides the phone screen interview guide, but unfortunately, so many companies don't use the phone screen guide because they're screening from resumes, and they actually have the phone screen interviews before they ask the candidate to complete the career history form that produces the phone screen interview guide. All the other interview guides are useful, but it's not useful to those companies, except the whatever it is, 15 or 20% of companies that use the full career history form at the resume stage. So those are the companies not interested in two-step. So good. Step 1, the mini snapshot will produce the phone screen interview guide. Candidates will provide the information about the most recent 2 jobs plus their contact information. Well, that's pretty much what the phone screen is supposed to cover. And it covers a few more things, but you can print it out, and now it's going to be very, very useful. Number 6, I've already suggested, you'll conduct fewer phone screens. A senior human resources manager, again at Culligan, guessed they would cut 12 phone screen interviews to maybe 4. Okay. Why? Because TORC is used. The magic of TORC has been used. The truth serum has been used, and a bunch of the lowest performing candidates will drop out. And with those who are remaining in, more honest and higher performers, their expectation is they're going to have a lot fewer phone screens. Okay. And that means for you in the human resources kind of business and world, be probably providing fewer candidates to interview to your internal clients, those hiring managers, and they're going to thank you for it. You're saving them time, and they have better candidates coming in and taking their time. So they're going to appreciate this, and they should. And number 8, after the phone screen, you can ask candidates to go back to the career history form that they saved with that minimal information in it and fill in the rest of it. So then after the phone screen, all right, you will get the full career history form, the full top grading snapshot, and of course get the top grading interview guide and reference checks. So at the risk of being very, very redundant, the summary is this. After candidates complete the brief career history form for the mini snapshot, you'll get an email with the short career history form, the mini snapshot, and the auto-populated phone screen guide. And after reviewing the snapshot, the next step would be for the phone screen. And then after the phone screen, if you'd like to continue with the candidate, you can ask them to complete the rest of the career history form. And that's all the normal tolls. So now I'll do a demo of what the 2-step career history form process looks like for you as the administrator and then you as the candidate. And as I said earlier, I'll narrate this, and this will be YouTube video. And Katie Steigerwald will be doing the 3 things I mentioned earlier. She'll show you the screens. So I'm looking at the screen while I'm looking at my script. She'll pretend to be the admin, okay? And you'll see her name as the admin, but she'll tell you, here, I'll tell you, when she switches back to the candidate, now candidate's Katie, the candidate. It's actually clearer than it sounds right now. So let us begin the demo. All right. So Katie's now showing the job openings, okay, and then soon the job details. When you're logged into your Tolles account, your jobs openings page is just as it always has been. You go to new job opening on the right, just as you always do. When your account is turned on, you choose to use 2-step or not. The standard approach is to have the box checked to use 2-step. But you still have the option to use 2-step for a job or not. I mean, there might be some job where you wouldn't want to use it for some reason. Don't know what that is, but in order to use 2-step, you have to see that check mark in there. Yes, use 2-step. Okay. Now, underneath, where you can see it says, what is 2-step career history form process? Well, I think I just had a long introduction explaining all that, but again, you'll see it in the toll. So you want to go back and read it as a refresher, you can feel free to do that. Okay, but we're not going to take the time. I'd have to pause for 5 minutes to do that. Okay, I'm going to finish creating my job. Now I enter, as Katie is doing, Senior Account Manager. Just as with tolls, you choose to ask for salary history or not, and you choose to ask for salary expectations or not. See, some places, there are a couple of states that do one or the other, and in some cities you can ask for salary expectations, but you're not supposed to ask for salary under all those specific situations, and that's your responsibility to check the right boxes, right? Okay, so if it's a remote work from home job, check it as you have in the past. If not, put in the city and state, okay, and choose your department just as you're accustomed to doing. When you click the next button, aha, now you'll notice there is a difference. So during this demo, when Katie is clicking on next, it might take some time to download, so we'll just shoot the breeze, but this shouldn't take too long. So, but there is a difference here now, because you can see the 2 steps, okay? And as you see, the first step asks candidates for minimal information. The check mark indicates that in the first step, the candidate will be asked, whatever your knockout questions are, please keep those to a minimum, just because you don't want to spook candidates thinking they're going to fill out a long form. And it has asked for personal information, which basically is their contact information, and job questions, okay? In the first step, the system will only allow candidates to provide job information on their current job and the one just before it, okay? You'll notice for first step, you're not able to click high school, college, military, and some other things, and for the reasons already given. That would make it too long, you'd lose too many candidates. But after the phone screen, and we'll go through all these steps with you, when the candidate goes back in to fill out the rest of the career history form, okay, you need to check which sections you want them to complete. And for most companies, that's all those sections: high school, university, college, technical, graduate school, military. Some companies yes, some companies no. And then the final questions. Okay, so moving ahead, the direct links page is also the same as what you are accustomed to in tolls. Nothing different here. So I'll now go ahead and save my job. So Katie's saving that. Now that I have my job saved, I'll click into it, and with the job ID to send my invitation to the candidate. So whether you send an invitation or use a direct link to post this job on CareerBuilder, LinkedIn, or Glassdoor, either way, if you send the invitation or use the direct links, as long as your job is set up for 2-step, the candidate will go through the 2-step process. So you'll notice that the invitation email is slightly different than the one you typically see, and I'll just read it. Hi, Katie. Now, Katie's a candidate, if that makes sense. Thank you for your interest in the Senior Account Manager position at Acme. We have to continue the hiring process. Please complete the career history form to provide a little more information about your most recent 2 jobs. And you do this by clicking the link below. And okay, you know all about that. So it says a little more information because they might say, well, I sent my resume and already gave you some information. All right, well, the little more information that makes this such a powerful screening tool is the torque technique and boss ratings and reasons for leaving, and well, you know all that. Okay, so now send the invitation to candidate Katie. So now Katie will log out as the admin, and she'll pretend to be Katie, the candidate. All right. As a candidate, Katie receives the invitation email to apply for the Senior Account Manager position, and see that I'll only be providing limited information. Okay, on the current job, the one just before, plus my contact information. So now I click the link. Okay, she's doing to the career history form, which is, as I've explained, now this is just a short version. They couldn't even do the long version if they want. Okay, so it's just personal information, which is contact information, which is those 2 jobs. Okay, all right. So you see this information. So this is pretty intuitive, right? I mean, just you just go through, and in two-step, you're guided to what they're supposed to do. Okay. The wording under jobs is the same for candidates, whether they're earned two-step or one-step. And if you included the compensation information, you ask for salary as expected compensation. I'll say Katie wants $60,000. So guess what she'll put in there? $60,000. Okay. And then go to the submit page, and Katie will be finished. Okay. However, well, just as with tolls, if you're looking for the first job, then you check yes. If not, obviously you check no. Okay. So as you can see now, Katie will be entering information, and already did it actually just to save us time here on one of her most recent two jobs, and now she's entering that information about the second, whichever it is. Okay. And she's done a few of these things as we've tested this for the last period of time, so you can see how quick it can be, when you fill out forms. But frankly, with half of all people in the workforce by 2020 being millennials, they're pretty good at getting through these kinds of forms, whether they're using credit card information or whatever. So as she gets down to the bottom and finishes, then she'll not have any more jobs because she's already provided the two. So she'll click to submit. Okay. So I'm pausing just for her to catch up to my my script here. Okay. And so as you see, it's really not much new, and but it's incredibly powerful, we think. And as I said earlier, when, as you've all noticed, we've been asking for, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And every time you log in, you get a pop-up saying, well, here are kind of functions you've gotten recently, and here's what's scheduled. And aside from what clients have put there, just in talking with clients, they say, boy, it would be incredible if you could figure out what we could do at the resume stage, and so here it is. I guess it's sort of common sense. So, okay, so Katie submitted, and just as in the past, there are two boxes to check. I understand that before a final job, okay, I'll be asked to do references, and the second box says, I didn't lie, everything I said is accurate and complete. Okay, so you're familiar with that. Now, we're gonna switch again. I'll go back to being the admin, or actually Katie will. So she'll pause her screen so she can log out as a candidate and log in as Katie, the admin. Okay. So she logs back in as the admin. Okay, you see the job was created earlier, and she was sent the invitation. Now, candidate Katie, all right. So I'm going to click, I'm the admin now. So I'm going to click on Katie's profile the usual sort of way, either by clicking on her first name, or you see her ID. If you're set up to receive an email alert, you'll get that notification that a candidate has completed the career history form. Okay, so here's my candidate. And as soon as you get into the candidate profile, you see, whoa, here we have, drum roll, the mini snapshot. Well, you say, this looks just like a snapshot of someone who's had only two jobs. Right, that's the point. Okay, so where are you in this? We're actually kind of coming down the home stretch, in that after you review Katie's snapshot, and there is a little career history form that goes along with this, and maybe you take a glance at her resume. If you decide to invite her to participate in the phone screen interview, you need to do two things. One is do what most companies do and just call her on the phone. It's more personal than sending an email. Some people suggest, man, maybe you should have a template for an email here but we really recommend now's the time to have some sort of personal contact. And so try to actually have a conversation with the candidate over the phone. If not, then yeah, obviously send an email. So the second thing to do is place her in phone screen status. And you can do this two ways. One is through the drop-down menu. You click on phone screen, or you can do it on the right by clicking yes, which moves Katie to the next step. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and download the phone screen interview guide. As I mentioned earlier, the only interview guide available to you when you're in first step is the phone screen interview guide for obvious reasons. But finally, finally, the phone screen interview guide is going to be of use even to the 80% of companies who never use the phone screen guide because they screened from resumes, conducted phone screens, and after that, asked candidates to complete the full career history form. Okay, so let's take a look at the phone screen guide. As you can see, the phone screen guide is what, if you've actually been using it, it looks pretty familiar to you. The contact information is on the front page, and then you can read the instructions, but those are the same ones that have existed forever. And what you see there is what is just the standard TOLS questions. Okay, so it's the same as always. It's just more usable for the companies who will now be getting the information at the resume stage rather than the phone screen stage. Decide to move ahead with Katie after the phone screen interview with her. Place her in second step status. Okay, you can do this either through the drop-down menu by clicking on second step status, or on the right you can click on yes, move Katie to the next step. Okay, so now I'll log out as the administrator, Katie the administrator, and I'll be Katie the candidate again, because whoa, I just got a cool email and it says, "Hi Katie, it was great getting to know you in the phone screen call. The next step is for you to fill out the rest of the career history form. You saved," she did, "you saved the information in the last two jobs. Please click the link below to show the career history form you've worked on and provide information on the rest of your jobs, plus some remaining sections." But you know what those are. Okay, those education and military, etc. You will see that there are some additional questions about your most recent jobs too. Now, that may be true or maybe not true. Many companies do add some questions, okay, in which case they'll have to go back even to the two jobs where they filled out information. There might be one or two more questions there. If not, they'll see that in the job section, which when they completed it at the resume stage and they completed information on the two jobs, it said complete. Okay, first they filled out personal, then it says complete. Then they fill out the two jobs and it says complete. But guess what? Now it says incomplete, right? Because you're wanting them to fill out information on the rest of the jobs. And if you are one of the companies that had some additional questions in the career history form, they'll fill those out as well. Okay, all right. So Katie the candidate clicks on the link. Okay, she'll see the career history form and it's familiar, and just open it up and provide the information on what's typical: high school, college, graduate school, military, final questions. Note that jobs is going to show up as incomplete. I already said that until she finishes this. And if she falters as a candidate, there will be a pop-up that'll tell her what to do. You see it there, but it's pretty intuitive. There'll be no problem. They'll do this. So when Katie completes the rest of her career history form, she will, guess what? Submit it, of course. And when she does, you'll get an email notification letting you know Katie completed the rest of the career history form. This is like TOLS where you got the notification. They filled it out, okay? So the rest is pretty standard because you're in the second step, okay? So now you review everything to decide whether to invite Katie in for the top grading interview. and any other interviews you might want to have during that typical day. So now you can review the full top rating snapshot and the full career history form. You'll no doubt look at your notes from the phone screening interview. All right. You'll, of course, read Katie's resume again and decide. If you decide not to move ahead with Katie, you can place her, and this is just typical Toll stuff, in not a fit or rejected status. Or if you decide to invite Katie in for a day of interviews, including the top rating interview, download the top rating interview guide from Katie's profile. I'm not going to do that. You've done that a million times. And just as with tolls, after the top rating interview, if you intend to move forward with reference calls, you'll ask the candidate to arrange those and download reference check guide. You're familiar with that. So there you have it, the two-step career history form process. It really should make top rating better, because it doesn't burden you with that agonizing process of sorting through resumes, knowing that almost half of them have deliberate falsehoods in them. So this should be a boon to you, save you time, which is money, help you to help your internal clients, those hiring managers, they'll appreciate it. But please let us know if you have any questions. You know where to call, but also let us know how you like it. But put a lot into this, and we think this is going to be great for your company. But we'd like to hear from you. And of course, we'd like to hear if you have any suggestions for making this better or any other part of our tools platform better. So thank you so much.